risk of becoming a little too formulaic, which, you may. Sometimes I come across a lot of things in my little research, running around and pitches and stuff. Sometimes don't have a place to put them, way to insert them into some of these videos with my very click-deterring titles such as Historic American Building Survey, Connecticut Volume 10, which makes approximately 0 people want to tune in based on title alone. And, that's... But anyway, you maybe disagree, but this is just a little different, and I don't have a place I'm trying to end up. And what are we really looking for here? Well, first we're going to look at the Library of Congress. We're going to look at ruins, just photographs, random. Okay, I have not pre-screened these, and you saw me pull them up. And we're going to just collect data, just kind of marinate in the idea of what ruins are from the years 1800 to 1899. That's this set. And we're just going to go through a few of them and just kind of get the feel for what historically and pictorially, I guess, we are calling collectively as a society, ruins, sourced from all over the place, just a ragtag hodgepodge of. And so I don't like to use stuff like that when I'm trying to do real research because I don't know where it's from. I don't know the story behind most of it. It's just visual. And it's something that's very useful, but in a different way. And just see how things get ruined, how the reaction is of time, and how elements break certain things down, or at least what we can guess based on pictures, not having any real experiments with brick water, let's say, or items packed in silt for 50, 100 years, what the result is. Like, for example, how long does it take brick to turn back into mud? How long does it take wood to petrify? How long does it take glass to turn back into sand? Under what conditions does metal essentially turn back into stone? I know there are obviously more appropriate and fine-tuned terms for this. I know I'm speaking in very layman's painting with wide brushes. This is not meant to be some sort of conclusive scientific experiment. This is simply based on observation. What we're looking at the past, and we're looking at things around us and the world around us and pictures, and then we're going to look at the way things decay in modern time, which is going to be very different, obviously, from what we believe happened in the past. For example, ruins of, say, a Roman tower due to looting and weather for 1,000 years is going to be different from, say, the building on a corner that's simply abandoned. What is the speed at which these various buildings can decay in these materials? And we're just going to absorb the data and just pontificate wildly and see if this leads us to any thoughts. Now, I do apologize for the absolutely heartbreaking visions you're going to see later of some of the degradation of some of these buildings, and for that I'm warning you, users, it can be very graphic. If you're anything like me anyway. That picture, that's... So, without any further ado, and that's the loose plan, okay? We could get sidetracked and end up in Antarctica, we very well might, but for now, that's the plan. This one's going to be a little bit more freewheeling than normal, and I'm just going to be a little more off the cuff because it's essentially a live stream with parts sort of fiddled with later. Hey guy. And so these ruins are all over the place. Obviously, looks like it jumps kind of back and forth between early America and the Middle East, which is kind of a funny pairing, I guess, considering that Middle East is we consider to be very old, and then we're the New World, where things are, just barely dusted off. Dusted off is a good term. Here's a completely fake picture from Richmond. I'm not going to get into it because we've been through all that. Ruins in Richmond. And this is what they're calling ruins in Richmond. Ruins in Delhi. We've looked at some of these before. Here you are. Ruins of Fort Putnam in West Point. Now, how would a place named Fort Putnam end up looking like this? That's a good question. I mean, what being so heavily waged over what great many centuries for this to end up looking like the remainder of a Byzantine, outpost? I don't know. I'm supposed to not ask those kind of questions. I'm supposed to just say, Civil War, cannonballs, General Custer, and somehow it looks the same as something that's 500, 800 years old. I don't know. It's magic, apparently. It's time magic. Or the Civil War was just especially bloody and crazy. You have no idea how crazy those guys were. They were literally headbutting boulders. All those little 14-year-olds that we saw that spoke and wrote letters with perfect, amazing command of the English language. All of them just poets of the finest regard. Poets that when they weren't headbutting boulders, poets who left the farm, armed with whatever they had lying around, blasting lead balls at rock walls, absolute maniacs on the battlefield, that then when they were done, they would retreat to their tent and write things such as, "My dear Sarah, never forget how much I love you, and when my last breath escapes me on the battlefield, it will whisper your name. Forgive my many faults and the many pains I've caused you. How thoughtless and foolish I have often been. How gladly would I wash out with my tears every little spot upon your happiness, and struggle with all the misfortune of this world to shield you and my children from harm. But I cannot. I must watch you from the spirit land, and hover near you while you buffet the storms with your precious little freight, and wait with sad patience till we part no more. But oh, Sarah, if the dead can come back to this earth and flit unseen around those they loved, I shall always be near you, in the brightest day and in the darkest night, amidst your happiest scenes and your gloomiest hours, always, always. And if there be a soft breeze upon your cheek, it shall be my breath, or the cool air fans your throbbing temple, it shall be my spirit passing by. Sarah, do not mourn me dead, no. Think I am gone and wait for me, for we shall meet again.
Meet again. I don't know where. I don't know where.
My love for you is deathless. It seems to bind me to you with mighty cables that nothing but omnipotence can break, and yet my love of country comes over me like a strong wind and bears me irresistibly on with all these chains to the battlefield. Yeah, those kind of poets. Maniacs on the battlefield. Bloodthirsty monsters. Look what they did to a bridge. Just look at it. It's an outrage. And here's Gaza ruins. This picture was taken last week as Israel conducts its, You know, jokes aside, poor taste and everything, how many times are we going to blow this place up? I mean, it's in ruins. Yeah, that's what the picture says, but they're still living in it. I mean, just like today. So, what, nothing changed? Status quo for old Gaza? Actually, these ruins look better than what they're doing right now. Right now, everything's being leveled. Gaza ruins. Man, how many times are we going to burn these places down? And just look at these ruins. They look like the ruins of the 1800s. I mean, there's no difference between this, photography-wise, and the Civil War. I mean, this one's got a lot more dirt packed in these doorways, whatever that means. But yeah, you could just be like, cover that guy up. Gaza ruins, bro. Yep, also Gaza. No, this is actually Karnak. Ancient ruins, these. Very ancient, but you see what I'm saying here. There's very little difference between these ruins. So, is that how buildings get ruined, like stone buildings? Is it like the first 20 years, bro, or the hardest, dude? They just crumble. They are just beat down. But then they just kind of level out and they stay in that same dilapidated state for 1,000 years. Because that's what it seems like when they compare pictures like these and they tell us that's what's going on. Fort Ticonderoga and, ruins on the Nile. Ruins in Tiberias. I mean, literally, these ruins are in better condition than the ones here. So what gives? I mean, I think you know that I know that you know what we know, or think we know that we don't know, but we think that we're onto something. Ireland, I'm sorry, this one's in Holland, from some nameless, timeless era. Well, some king is some fort hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Ruins built on ruins, and then still ruined. Oh, here. Oh, yeah, that's just Richmond, Virginia. Yep. That's Beirut. Thousands of years of combat. That's the Green River terminus. Oh, this is Devonish Island. Who knows what happened here? Countless tales of horror and grief and warfare. Abandoned thrice 30 times over. Centuries and centuries. Oh, that's just Mayo's Bridge in Richmond. Oh, it's Lawrence, Kansas. What the hell's going on in Lawrence, Kansas? Oh, man. Ancient Greece. Modern Virginia. I see very little difference. Capernaum. A place called Carthage. Carthage, a place, and the ruins look the same as that they do in Lawrence, Kansas. You know what I'm saying, man? Chicago fire ruins, yes. I know of a fire that burns and doesn't leave soot. Yes, it's called ghost fire. I mean, technically, if it was like a gas fire, like a propane fire, it would burn clean, but the buildings wouldn't burn clean. It'd still be soot if everything was burning. Give me a break. This wasn't caused by no friggin' fire. How dumb do they think we are? I mean, apparently we are that dumb. But still, we're getting smarter. You just wait. You wait, you watch it, bros. We're coming for you. Unidentified ruins, so, you know, that could be somewhere in Italy, or it could be just up the road from you, after the Civil War. Man, I'm really glad they included this in there. That's a great picture. It tells us so much. And here you go, ruins in Richmond. Ruins of the Moorish prison in Alhambra. And then Richmond. God, that picture just is ridiculous. Here's a clearly fake picture. Look at that lighthouse. It's drawn on. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ruins of the Great Wall. Yes. And ruins of the slave cabins. Ruins in Portland. Where have we seen this before? Trees, fine. Poles standing upright alone, untouched. Clean streets. Everything else reduced to ash. Oh yeah, California wildfires. Oh yeah, also in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Yeah. Oh, Maui looked like that too. Yep, just a few. That's all I'm saying. What am I saying? That's all I'm saying, okay? That's all I'm saying. Bull Run 2, add that to the list. Do it, Jimmy. Add it to the list. Ancient ruins and the ruins of the Navy Yard in Virginia, which really, if there was even a Navy Yard in that era, it would have to have been like 5 days old. And ruins of a mill at Highland Falls. Also the source of the first Ferris wheel. Y'all ain't supposed to know that, though. That's for Mr. George Ferris to find out. Later in time. Panama, ruined. Mayo's Bridge, ruined. Rome, ruins. 1570, we're told. This is dated 9000 BC, okay? 9000 BC. Now let's take a little jump over, like I promised, like you were forsworn. What other property use that? And we will look at what I'm calling ruins. These, I like to call them the unsorted. It's just so literal, you know? And this is in Mexico, so I do know that. And what can we tell from this? Well, and so you see it's a structure that is worn down in time. Weather, maybe, people, looters, who knows? Time, gravity, bleh. Plant life and their incessant war upon our way of life. And maybe this once, I'm sure these once were finished. Had some sort of mortar or, something binding that's gradually eroded, water erosion or whatever, just eroded away, lift the stones a little more crumbly. If there was at one point maybe a coating painted on it, it's long since come off this. This could go a number of different ways. Or we can, what they tell us is just, no, that's just how they built. They just stacked rocks. None of that. This is not what a regular staircase would look like, right? Now, there are different era builders, different kinds of tools. A point where we can compare things, Don't care about your stupid error, bitch. Fuck off with that. And here we go. I believe this is Petra. I've actually been to Petra. Believe it or not. I didn't spend much time there, but got to check it out. There were geopolitical events happening which limited some of the areas. The approachability, I suppose, or the time constraints and what we had. I don't recall the fine nuances of what was so long ago. But this is Petra, the oldest city. City made of stone. Petrified. Well, maybe. I mean, I can see that looks like a city carved into stone, yes. But did it really look like this, underneath this? Did they knock all this away and this revealed this? Or is this an impression of mud or something that was packed around this? And this is initially made of something else? There's a lot of questions to be posed here. Because if this was a city that now looked like this, and then you had to sort of excavate it to look like this, well, there are plenty of places that look like this. We call them mountains and rocks. So are all of them underneath lurking something like this? I don't know, but it does make you wonder. The only reason why we believe this to be absolutely true is because we know, due to what we've been taught and told repeatedly over and over and over and over and over and over and over, that this part of the world is the oldest. So it's not surprising. It's not questioned when we're like, yeah, the city of stone, oldest city, it's out here in the desert here. Okay, it's out here in the desert in Jordan. Okay, well, if America is as old, let's say we were taught that the American desert was populated at the same time. Same level of technology, same. Then would you be squinting at these mountains a little differently and saying, well, maybe they're all a Petra? I mean, it's not really that radical of a question. It just comes down to whether or not you believe the stories. Do you believe that only one part of the world was civilized first and then it spread out from there? And maybe you do, and maybe there's a good reason for that. I don't know. I'm just saying, to me, if I'm a visitor here, if I never knew anything about this place and I was taken here, and then I was taken out into the desert where there's lots of these, I'd be like, oh, so they all got those cities just waiting to be carved out of them, or they all were cities before? I mean, that would be a natural, logical question is all I'm saying. It's not so radical. It's actually kind of going back to like being a child again and asking with just general inquisitive curiosity. And now here again, you see something like this. Now what if that's that, then what's this? Is this a rock carved building? Like they're just in here cutting these straight lines and making these windows? I would say no. I would say this looks to me like it was made of metal once. Like, is this an upside down ship or something? Or is this a collapsed building that's fallen on its side? Or is this some sort of industrial mill? I don't know, but this all has the shape and feel to me of big metal, like a big metal machine. And these would be windows or maybe where machinery was installed. I don't know. But look at these hard lines here. I mean, like this whatever this is right here, this angulated thing, and I just feel like this was metal. So this was just something that was underwater for 100 years, 200 years. I mean, this was like a shipwreck. It could be a shipwreck. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is a shipwreck. But there's plenty of buildings that look like this that we're told are just out in the desert. They're just rock carved, or someone hollowed out a fort once. And the more you look at this stuff with just an open, honest eye, the more suspicious it grows. The more suspicious things like this look. Like, what is this? Is this just a hollowed out tree trunk? Someone turned into like a castle? Maybe. Kind of looks like it. I mean, why would you build this right here? And that's not stone. It's like one solid piece of stone, it looks like. So unless they made like a concrete, maybe. I'm sure you've seen pictures like these where there's cities underneath cities. And so we kind of know that, yeah, brick underground, which there's lots of unexplained brick underground, tends to kind of hold its form like this, at least in dirt. But what about in water? What does it all mean? Is this a bunch of petrified walruses? It kind of looks like it, huh? I was kidding, but. And, places like this. I don't know what the hell this place is, but these can't have started their life as just rocks that someone carved artistically to look like vessels. I mean, or is just a rusted out old ass boat of some sort that was covered in mud. And I don't know, but you can almost see on this here. This looks like giant chain links. It's hard to tell with this crappy resolution. For that, I blame me. This, when I first saw it, I thought it was a giant book. Like, you know, just a massive hardback book. With this would be the pages here and then the covers. In a way, it does look like that, but it also could just be a big wooden coffin or a big, I don't know. But it seems weird that someone would just carve this out of rock. Like I said, we were just looking. Whatever this is, I mean, if this is, you know, it looks metal to me. I don't know if it's got brick in it or was. If it was, someone tried to tell you that thing was made of stone. It's like, well, I think this is in Fresno, actually. We're going to get there soon. You know, this is interesting because obviously we know that metal, this metal in particular, and bronze, I think anything with bronze in it especially, will green like this. Makes you look at some of those domes very differently, you know. Kind of conclusive that. This is interesting. And looks like India would be my guess, but again, I'm just... That's why these are the unsorted, okay? And this looks like if you were going to carve this out of stone, you would be foolish, and it would take you an entire life, especially based on the tools we're told they have. But if you look at this as all carved out of wood at one point, beautiful wood, nice streaky veins, like a nice hardwood like this here. You see these nice wooden sort of grains. That would make more sense. And was it just underwater in extremely mineral-rich water until it all sort of petrified? I don't know. But it makes more sense than trying to say, we're going to carve this ledge out of stone. You know, it's possible that you just had amazing concrete sort of recipes. Okay, it's possible, but I don't think that's the claim either, though. I think the claim is that it's all carved out of rock. Yeah, just rock, just like this. Just somebody came along here and just decided, you know what, we need like a curb right here. So they just got to chiseling. 40 years later, they, with their little stone tools, they got this here. It's not a beam of sorts at all. It's not a fallen stone anything or wooden anything. No, don't be stupid. And on we go through the ruin parade. Look at this guy's like, oh, God damn it, I got all this shit in my beard. He's like, what? So he woke up out of a 100-year sleep and he's like, the hell's this beard? Is this part of me? That's incredible. I don't even want to know what's going on here. I mean, I do want to know, but I can't even imagine what the story is about that. Here you go. We're gonna believe that this was just a giant slab of stone. Somehow they erected this. They fused these together. These are not rivets at all. Nope, these are not rivets. This is rock, carved out of rock. Yep. I mean, that's a really, whatever they're claiming that is, that's stone rivets. I mean, that's an open and shut case right there for anyone that would listen. And here you have some, looks like wear, or perhaps it's the aggregate was left this way intentionally for artistic reasons. I could see it going either way. This little giant bird, it looks like. She's comforting a giant bird, or am I just seeing things? The beak, and she's got her hand underneath it, or, well, I don't know what this is, I guess. It's like these guys are yelling at each other, like two giant rock giants, like yelling at each other, like, Murr! Something like, Murr! This one's got like a lion head, and he's like, Murr! You see him, or does that not make any sense? Here, let's illustrate just a little better, so you don't think I've lost my mind. So you got nose, sloping head. You're looking at it from a profile. Here's his neck, collar. He's leaning up to like a big shelf. The rest of him's down there, and here is his chin. And he's yelling at this guy. You know, he's like, Meh! He's like, fuck you. This guy, he's got sort of a big sloping mouth, a big sloping brow, like an animal. Sort of like a lion, you know? His eye with his lashes. His big sweeping brow, and back here is like his like mane, you know? Well, the one hair went crazy. And he's yelling by back. See him? And this is just a big elephant looking on to his trunk. And back here, you got like this little cat looking on. Little chipmunk thing with wild hair. And then even right here, this is like a big old rock monster looking on. He's like, yeah. He's like, this is better than regular TV. Well, yeah, I would hope so. Later, guys. I don't know what this is, but all the little tiny people apparently moved on. Here you got another one. Besides these giant dice up here, I don't know what these are, but this right here, this framing, why would you do that if you were carving it into rock? This little inset here. You just wouldn't do that. This looks like a, I don't know, a metal structure. Just a metal structure. These are the ribs. It's all that's left. As mud packed into it or dirt or whatever, and just time just sort of petrified it in a way. I don't see another way around it. Matter of fact, there's a channel called Wise Up I've been following for a long time, and the guy is, I think his name's Mark. He's probably put in the most important research on this stuff that I have ever come across. His approach is a little different, and I really like it. I love the stuff he's doing. And he has actually opened my eyes to a lot of some of this stuff. So I would be remiss to make a video like this without giving the proper credit. See, I don't really have an ego about this stuff. I don't care if anything's my idea, or I really don't, or if I just I don't need to. But at the same time, because of that, I also don't want to trample over people who do find that important and would thereby assume that other people found that important. So assume that I was trying to take credit for something. I'm not saying these are his pictures or anything he's done here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the ideas that he's put forth, I found very useful and in examining, many things. So if you're ever out there, Mark, a hat tip to you, sir. And I'd buy you a pint of whatever you drank or ate. Maybe you want a pint of peanut butter. I don't know. If I saw you, it'd be coming your way, sir. These are weird, bendy, smushy bricks. Whatever that, I don't know what that means. How long does it take how hot does a brick have to be to melt and turn into liquid? Or is it not melting? Is it just getting wet? Is it just, just turning formless from repeated water? I don't know. I don't have the answers to these things, but it is interesting to think about when you apply this sort of logic to, large things like this, or when do you apply them to things around your own hometown that maybe look a little funny now? Maybe that old mountain or that old robber's roost isn't just a pile of boulders out there. Maybe was something much more once at one point. And could be again. I don't know. This is a good one. Now, some people would assume that this is a example of what you might call meltology. The idea that buildings are melted, and maybe that's the case. I'm not sure, but I could also argue that this also looks like running water. Running water can also erode this sort of thing. It would take a lot of it for a long period of time, but it would also look like this. Pointing that out, I'm not taking a side. I don't have a strong opinion about it either way. I'm just looking at stuff. Okay, look at that, a stone airplane. What the fuck is going on here? I don't even know what to make of that, but it seems unsound. Oh damn. Watch it, old lady. I was crushed by this boulder. And yeah, where does the mountain end and the fortress begin on this, And that's a serious question. Was it a fortress first and then it got burned down and then they rebuilt on top of it? Or was it a fortress first and then it got covered up by the flood and then they built another fortress on top of it and then another flood and then went the flood? I mean, how many times have we done this in this realm? How many times to get stuff like this? Like, it's not like these people decided to build on the ocean. The ocean was nowhere near here. That'd be my guess. Maybe the poles flipped and half the stuff's underwater now. I don't know. But it's not what they tell us. It just can't be. There's too many strange things. Like, what is this? This to me looks like a palm tree that got caught up in like a hurricane or mudslide. This looks like a palm log. I can't say for certain. I'm not even there. But maybe it's a pillar, like a column. Maybe this is all brick. It certainly looks like a fragmented brick that's just melded together from being underwater. So, there's endless. I mean, this is not natural. No matter what way you look at it. These are laid here. And I find this sort of stuff to be very useful when navigating the parts of the world that I come into contact with. Because if you're in Armenia, this is maybe an old castle. Not sure why you have a bricked-in window here, bricked-in doorway even out here, but now if this were in America, if you were to find this at a field in Tennessee, someone would say, oh, wow, well, that is weird. There probably was an old mill out here, an old cotton mill or something. And so you'd ask some old timer, like, well, I think that, Ronnie, I remember old Ronnie had something like that out there. That sounds familiar. Yep. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember hearing about something like that. I mean, that'd be enough, right? If you're a local historian, let's say you're doing a survey and you go to survey a property, right? Let's say it's out in Tennessee, I don't know, and you come across something like this. It's not, the farmer didn't mention, you were sent there because of the date of the, and you ask him and he says his reply is something like that. You're going to write down the ruins of a former mill, blah, 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 out here in the meadow is a contributing, factor or isn't a contributing factor to this property and used to belong to a farmer named this, and the interview from this, the information
information for this came from an interview with a local resident. That is the kind of sentence that I read every survey that I do. Every time I look at a survey, I read something very similar to that. And so, is the farmer lying? Is he part of the Great Deception? No, at least not willingly. He's just trying to wrap his head around what it could possibly be. So he comes up with the most plausible idea, and it makes sense for him, and it's good enough. And no more questions. It isn't until really curious people come along with a real reason to suspect that there's something really wrong here to actually give a damn. We used to play around this old Spreckles sugar factory, an old abandoned sugar factory a long time ago, and it never, I remember it crossing my mind, like, when was there ever a big factory? That's weird. That makes no sense because it's in the middle of literally nowhere. And, but that's all the attention that we gave it. And it wasn't until I had to take the back of my head to shove it in the sand and be like, look harder, before things start to click. And the only reason why that would click is because I had developed a general distrust, that earth-shattering realization that we have been sculpted to believe this way for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. I have an idea, but I don't know what that is. Ultimately, I can guess, like, as you can. But when you realize that we have an enemy that has been waging a war on us, and we're like the child in this, a 5-year-old person realizing that this person that they thought was their uncle or whatever had actually been competing against them as hard as they possibly could to keep them down. The odds would be, it would seem cruel. It is cruel. But if that's the feeling that I get with this dawning sensation of this child realizing, wow, this much older, much more capable, been here longer, much more experienced, more powerful being is waging this war on me, telling me these lies, telling me that, corrupting me and twisting me into being something. And then the kid might be like, well, what the hell am I then? What am I supposed to be if I've been under this thing's guardianship this whole time? And that's kind of where we're at. And so not everyone's involved. A lot of people just kick down the stories because that's what they know to be true. Someone told them, why would they question it? The grandpa told them. Maybe the grandpa had no fucking clue. He was just trying to come up with a reason to make sense to him. Maybe someone earlier had found it. Maybe there was a guy named Ronnie that had a mill in this field. But it wasn't this mill. Maybe it was 2 fields over and he got mistaken. I mean, there's a million reasons why this can go wrong. But it doesn't mean that it's true. And it doesn't mean that this deception is being perpetuated by all these people, this entire generation of people. No. They didn't know anything but what they've been told. They're even more trusting than us by far. I mean, they're so trusting that it was like, what? England's in trouble? You mean the same England whose oppressive rule of tyranny caused us to get up in arms in the first place? Yeah, that England. They're in trouble. Let's leave our families and lives and jobs, suit up, and go over there and defend them to the death. That's some blind trust. And what they're finding is with the erosion of trust, they're not getting people that want to do that anymore.
We're about to take a look at a few locations like this one, the Purple Mirror. Or maybe it's Purple Minor, or maybe Purple Manor. Hard to say. This photograph is from 1978-ish. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on all these, but point out a few things. And this has clearly got the remnants of what we would have called Art Deco, right? You got these paneled glass windows. It looks like columns that have been painted over half a dozen times. Got your little vestibules here. Even got this little mosaic tile down here in the ground. And it's painted sort of gaudy. Looks like a sleazy bar from Louisiana. And of course, this is different. Every place is going to be different. And this isn't really a case study, anything special. It's just sort of a sad reality. So this is 1978 now. And 2 years later. Still can't tell what the name of the building is. We've given it a paint job. Looks like maybe there might be some sort of eviction notice or something on the door here. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a flyer. But you notice things up here, right? These windows painted in. This sign here. This paneled here. 2 years later, it looks like the Purple Minor or Manor or Mirror is gone. And something new is here. Not only that, but both places have been repainted. This door's been removed. Replaced with this panel and this crappy door, right? This is 1980. And it's a restaurant now with some great signage here. Look at that. Fish and chips are $2. You can believe that? It's 1980. It's amazing. And we've opened up here a little bit. Looks like some sort of a grand opening still-ish. And 2 years later, looks like the fish and chips place is probably gone. Just a discount store now. And you got a little boutique here. And now we've got new paint all over. And now this store's gone. place with a similar kind of door. You've also got some of the walling ripped off here to reveal the brick underneath. Now, it looks like somehow it's either still a fish and chips or this is 1983. A dozen of eggs free every Monday and Friday to our customers. Imagine that, giving away a dozen eggs for free. Crazy. But as you see, we got changes. This one's got a security door now, which means that you had to rip off some of the Art Deco stuff here. I love this up here, though. This dog and cat hanging out on the roof. It's pretty amazing. And you can see the tile here starting to come up. 2 years more. And it looks like the tile's been almost worn off or swallowed up. Almost nothing left in the way of Art Deco. This little top of this little cap here on the top of this column is pretty much all that's left. 2 years later, we got a cabinet office. Another new business moved in. 2 years later, new business. Little street scene going on here. That table is, wow, it's a saggy ass table. And 2 years later, you can literally feel the degradation of the area just by looking at this picture. And the graffiti by itself. The fading of the signs even. Now this is open 24 hours. And we got like a practical joke being played right here, something funny. So we got a new business going in. A little beauty shop, a little barber. Lots of people moving in trying to make this work. Now the phone booth's gone. 2 years later, this is 2001. And it looks like you had a business come and go. Or maybe just set up. No. And you can still see the fish and chips sign back here. Any sign that this was an old world structure is gone. Even the tile barely hanging on. Nothing original. And there it is 2 years after that. Actually, this is actually the same year. This is just later on in 2001. It looks like we're getting total renovation up and downstairs. You got a guy up here. You see the brick of the old buildings is on the side here. Now completely boarded up. Oddly, you get this new brick surfacing, or maybe old, that's been re-exposed as they stripped this all back. Then you get a mattress store moving in. You get a wheelchair ramp covering up the original brick and the original tile. And the evolution is complete. You would never know. Comes a church outpost. From this, it looks like they're kind of trying to clean up the area. I mean, at least it's not so rampant graffiti. And that's where this story ends. By looking at this modern building, first of all, how just ungodly and ugly and industrial it looks. Glass, metal, railings, unattractive on all fronts versus this. And this is what happens. The character. You can't have yourself without your environment. Try to tell a story without telling anyone where you're at, as far as like geophysically, I suppose. I was saying something to someone, and that's about all you could do. You can't, that story didn't hold up to any questions. Well, where were you? Well, I'm not telling, I don't know. Story means nothing. The context means everything. The chronology, where we think we are in time, means everything. If you were to say you were to find a 1988 penny, and the year is 1988, that's not very special. If you were to find a 1988 penny, and the year is 2088, whoa, it changes a lot about that penny, doesn't it? Now if you were to find a 1988 penny in 1968, it turns the whole thing upside down. It's impossible. It's an impossibility. Something must be wrong. The engraving must be wrong. Something must be wrong. Our minds are that fragile. The ability to push something up, even the finding of a penny, 100 years or so, it changes everything. This is why narrative is so important. The context of anything, and that's why it's important that we get it right. It doesn't have to be exact, but we can't be believing things or thousands of years apart when they weren't. We can't be believing that we wandered around for tens of thousands of years, making zero progress, and suddenly we all just sat up and started using forks and tools, and then cars, and then chainsaws, and then cell phones, and then rockets, and then suddenly we all have a computer chip in our head. Like, it doesn't work that way. And the reason why we can tell that is because our setting hasn't gotten more beautiful, hasn't gotten more artsy, hasn't gotten more meaning, hasn't gotten cleaner, hasn't gotten more beneficial. We haven't grown closer with our past. We haven't stayed connected with our elders. We haven't stayed connected with each other. We're losing on all those grounds. And partially, I feel like it's because we are in a forced, fake environment that's continually being degraded. Yet we're to believe that we are on the right path. And I don't think those two things can coexist. Soapbox over. Let's check out our new one. I warned you, these pictures are graphic. Look at this old world banger. What a juicy building. So if you're looking at this in Harlem, it's 1982. And first of all, what is this doing down here? This arch that's too short to walk through. Right there, that's just something's up. You look at this picture a little closer, and it's already a tragedy. I mean, the fact that they had to block these in, all of these, and diminish this door, and God knows what ornamentation was stripped off of here, probably out of all these, and it's already a tragedy. But I would say, if someone were to say, hey, can't do the keys to this building, yeah, it's got a lot of work to be done, but how overjoyed would you be? What a treasure. Instead, the people that get the keys to this thing, well, let's see what they do. Well, it starts out proper, starts out positively. And I should mention, this is the former corn exchange building, okay? The bank, basically the bank. What became the largest banks, but it used to be a corn exchange. And we got a new paint job on some of it. We got some graffiti cover up here. We got, the bottom house down here looking still a little dangerous. But it looks a little better. It looks like it's been patched and painted. So that's good, right? 4 years later. Look how striking the difference between just taking off the top. It's suddenly immediately so much more boring and uninteresting. And when you get up there and look, you can see, that they are taking it apart from the top down. Everything's boarded up. Paint ain't looking so great anymore. And actually looks to the decor missing here. And in year 97, and hard to say what's happening. Seems like they stopped construction on the top, but something's been going on. It looks like a fire, possibly, based on that. Or people just sort of broke in. I mean, it's been under construction like this for like a year. And probably if you read about this, you'd say they threw it up in 6 months. It takes us 5 years to break it down. 4 years after that picture. So for 5 years now, it's looked like this. No new anything except damage. It looks like they are taking all the stone facing off of it slowly. 11 years later. And the new Corn Exchange building, it looks like they're advertising here as if they're going to remodel it. But the ceiling, maybe they are. It'd be a damn shame if they didn't. Looks like they've completely taken the top few stories off of it. Now we're in the year 2009. 2007, we're still doing construction. 2009, 2011. So 15 years of construction, and you give up on it. And it looks no better than it did 20 years ago. Actually worse. You've taken the top off of it. You've taken anything interesting off it, bricked it all up, and just left it. The whole neighborhood looks like it's gone to absolute shit. It's supposed to be New York, the greatest city in the world. 2 years later, same story. Same graffiti even. 2 years it's been on there. And now it really is an eyesore. But is there hope? This is 2014 now. 22 years. 18 years after they started. And they've got some framework. Well, I wonder what it looks like right now. I truly don't know, but we're about to find out. Would you look at that? Wowie wowie. They actually did rebuild it. Oh boy, how's that about that? That is a happy ending for sure. I don't know what took them so long, 20 plus years, but they did a remarkable job on it. Really did. That's truly great. You see that, people? We can overcome. Man, New York is just gives me anxiety. Just look guy doing. What's old gray? Oh, sorry, officer. I didn't know I could walk here. Well, how about that? Actually, that line. And this one's shaped up to be a real heartbreaker. Why do I say that? Because it's the Bronx. The Bronx has looked like a war zone forever. And look at this amazing, amazing building. Like a castle. It's just fantastic. 1980. The building appears occupied. Kids playing. Neighborhood looks a little rough, infrastructure-wise. We all right. And then this. The year's 82. The year's 1982. So 2 years. 2 years from this to this. Not even just empty, but smashed. Like, look at all the windows here, and then now just smashed or covered up in like sheet metal because they were smashed. The doors wide open. Just anyone come in here and shoot drugs, take a shit on the floor, do whatever you want. Maddening. How does this happen? This is 1983. 1 year after that, you gotta block this up because assuming trespassers. And it looks like somebody broke it down anyway. This is 1984. And just getting worse and worse. And then 1986. We're just gonna come along and smash half it into fucking powder and leave the other half full of the destruction. I mean, what a fucking joke. And even this has been here long enough where this fence is being knocked down. And 1988, gone. Just trash. Gone. That massive castle. Gone. For what purpose? 1991 rolls around, and you're putting in some plastic homes, some cardboard homes. 1994, and you got your little boxes. All neat and in a row. I'm sure the people that live there enjoy it. I'm not trying to bash anybody, but you're the same distance as you were. Maybe not people on top of you, but it's not like it's more private. And then even these. This is 1994, and by 2013, I think more emphasis on the security aspect of it. And so it goes. 1981. This is also the Bronx. Another fish and chips place over here, next to a grocery store. This thing's super cool right here. This is probably the only relic left of the old world than this top piece. And at 1990, that third unit is destroyed. Also, so is this unit over here. And it looks like no one's been around here for a while. Any of these buildings. 1994, that one's gone too. Oh, nice. A block bunker. You notice the ground level is still, the grade is still down here, obviously, with that parked car. By 2003, 2006, looks like the building behind it's getting a makeover. This little bunker thing's gone. 2009, whatever work was started here seems to have stopped. 2013, looks like they finally painted this a different color. And that's it. This is in the Bronx as well. The year is 1980. And you can tell this was just a fantastic cityscape at one point. And then we have to do that. Turn everything into an ad. 1994. And look at this building over here with this amazing balcony on the top. 10 years later, gone. And this thing's stuccoed into a fucking Popeyes. No character left on any of these buildings. What is the purpose of that? Removing all character. What is wrong with these people? Narco Freedom Building 1992. Definitely looks a little rough. And 1994. Looks like some efforts to keep the streets clean at least. And a paint job. 1995. Okay. It's probably like a methadone clinic, be my guess. 2009. So 14 years later, it manages to kind of hold on. Although from the amount of people that seem to be just hanging around out front, it seems like, look at that. You can see right down in there. How's that for a trip? They've all got them. And this thing looks like it's been abandoned now by now. This year is 2013. 1979 is the year. And you can just tell, looking at the tops of these buildings, the whole thing was quite classy. Those fancy brickwork, fancy railings. Like, what a beautiful little street at one point. And 9 years later, broken. Half the building's torn down, completely in ruin and disrepair. More kids on the street, just weird rust and dirt. 4 years later, we go from having some screens to some seriously super security screens. Tells you everything right there. Down below, looks like a shack just getting dumpier, boarded up. This is in 1994. Getting used to the abandoned buildings here, I guess. 1997, still abandoned over here. Looks like maybe someone's patching it up. 2003, never mind. That one next to it is gone. Almost all of the art deco on the top of all of these is gone, except for this guy's got this lantern still. It's so cool. 2004, 2014, trees have grown up. It looks a lot better. The road looks like absolute shit. And then finally, this big building here on the end of the road, gone. Strange little church here, but, you know, can't fault them. This is 1981 in Chicago. Now we're in Chicago. Holy Waiter's still holding on here. This is 2 years later. Well, the chicken place next door looks like it's gone. Looks like everything might be gone now. This is 1982, 1988, 1989, 2003. This brick old worlder is gone. Now she stands alone. Now she's had the top cut off. This is 2009, and it looks kind of abandoned, but maybe not. This is 2011. This is 2014. As far as we know, that church was able to kind of hang on and bring back some of the color to it. Not bad. This is Chicago in 1988. So a bunch of kids hanging on the street with the hose. This is the year 2000, 12 years later. Remarkably not much different. And then in 2007, boom, she gone. Why? And now there's nothing there. Parking lots. This is Chicago 1988. Same view, 1995. Boom. Look at that. Just tore up everything all around it. Now, this one wasn't necessarily historical in look, but she gone now. This is 1998. And in 2000, not too bad of a rebuild, I have to say. Not terrible. Not great, but not terrible. The whole time it's funny is this playground in the front just stays there in the parking lot. Now it's just in a parking lot. Very weird. This is a heartbreaker. The Ransom Gillis Mansion. I believe this is in Detroit, but I don't know for sure. The year is 1993, and how the war that's being waged on it by the trees is escalating, that's for sure. Look, you won't tell at one point it was just a beautiful home. And now we've beaten the trees off of it, so more people can appreciate its degradation. And then 1999, 2 years later, they're back. Although it looks like it's lost a chimney. It's lost this guy here. Things not looking so good. A year later, the trees are swarming all over it again. This time they vowed to finish what they started. But no, they didn't, because 1 year later, they all died. The trees all died in battle. And still, the house still stands. Barely. How depressing would that be? That thing be on your street corner for 15 years. And then 1 year later, what? 1 year later, the trees go that fast? I mean, I guess they just lost all their leaves, but that's quite remarkable. And they die and lose all the leaves again. This is 2005. Yes, this is Detroit. In 2007, the walls behind it finally get smashed and taken out. But inexplicably, someone comes along and not only rebuilds the tower, but re-roofs it, although it stays boarded up. There's just some effort being made to restore it here in 2007. And then they abandon that. 2014, never mind. Re-abandon it. This is the Motor City Industrial Park in Denver. I'm sorry, in Detroit. And it's sad state of affairs as the windows all get smashed out and slowly the pieces fall apart. Eventually all the letters are gone. Pretty much everything that's on the outside has been stripped at this point. What a ridiculous thing to leave to ruin. What did these cities do with people's tax money?
This is
What? Real funny, Jim. Jim, it's clear to me now. You fucked it up. Yep.
It was you the whole time. I'm just calling you out on it. Like we do about this time. We'll run through a few more here. The tour of depression. This is the most LA scene ever. I shouldn't say that. What I should say is this is distinctly LA. Right there, the whole thing, the whole friggin'. You wanna know if you've ever been to LA? Suburbs? That's what you see. That right there. There's plenty of this too, don't get me wrong. I should have mentioned before this was not a website sensationalizing the change or celebrating it or promoting it in any way. This is actually, if anything, this is actually probably whitewashing some of the destruction. These pictures are from the Library of Congress. So they're not attempting to show, these places degrade. They're just time lapses. This is a kind of a heartbreaker. You got all these people repainting this old mud flutter, and then boosh. It's like it burned down or something. I don't know. This is in Newark, 1981. This was 1980 when they're painting it, and there's no date given here. But I'm guessing the order goes here, new paint job, fire, boosh. Yeah, we're sticking with that. Here, this one's kind of tragic. This is where I had these. Nice, look at these nice sunflowers growing. Nice little garden. 10 years later, it's essentially a dump. That's sex. 2009, 2014. Very little changed except the person on the street here. They've transitioned to a new gender, it looks like. This is in Newark. It's 1980. This is a no heat. The landlord. This is the landlord here. This guy with this mismatched doorway and an odd cat. And 10 months later, it looks like somebody's moving out. Maybe her. And it's boarded up by December of that same year. Boarded up. Then we're going to knock out the middle part. 86. Here's 85. Kind of going out of the order here. 85. 87. They're all gone. And it stays a lot until 2014 when they do this to it. It looks like they're cleaning up some people here on Skid Row. What's interesting about this photo collection, I guess, is that a lot of these seem to be taken discreetly without these people's permission. You'll see them, which I know isn't illegal, but I just wonder if half these people even know that they're on the actual Library of Congress. And not just those. There's people walking on the streets everywhere. And this later on, which we'll see if we get there. There's a lot to be said about this picture, but I'm gonna not say any of it. This is Skid Row, 2003. This is before they even had a homeless problem. Back when the cops wore flat-brimmed hats and rode horses and creased their trousers. And these are just rather depressing scenes here. This is amazing. This picture's from 1970, and the caption says, "On the way to Harlem." Is this person actually riding this old stagecoach? Or is this he doesn't look like he's in like a parade. Dude looks like he's moving here. And this is in a stagecoach. I mean, it's just amazing. I don't even know what to make of this. It's clearly not a taxi. There's no other horses on the road. Very weird. There's lots of this loose fire hydrant stuff. I wonder if the locals just do that unintentionally. Here's some New York elite hanging out. Psych. Oh my god. Lisa, get up. For real. Guys, pick her up.
Rebecca. Hey guys, my name's Rebecca. I'm here to play. I don't want to play with you, Rebecca.
How could you be bummed and have that car? Unless he's on heroin or something. You see what I mean about these pictures, though? This is awesome. Don't touch the trim, kids. Damn, well, that beautiful car. Just left to ruin. And this is, of course, the Bronx. How could it be anything but? It's either Romania after some bombing in the 80s or the Bronx. Just so weird. Just knock buildings down like this and then just leave them. I initially felt bad for this person, but then I realized that they still were able to maintain their hold here of their cigarette, and I thought, he'll be all right. When they saw it. Him. That's right, you're in timeout, Dominica. You stay there. No, how long? Kid, if you're gonna pee in the river, you gotta move a little closer. No, you don't got that kind of range. Yeah. Big guy, Funky. Look at my scarecrow. Think it'll work? Oh no, it look kind of stupid to me. Yes, times is hard. Why, we used to have that candy bowl full all day long. Now, ain't nothing but peppermints. You know how it is. Yeah. This is a 1954 Ford in LA that's been sitting there since 1983. Even this, just such a cool car. And this is in Compton. What is this, a chop shop on the street here? You can just tell that unmistakable Bronx look. This is a Rosa Parks bus in Detroit. You know, it's interesting you see these when you flip through the old Civil War photos albums. They often have these, and their story is that they built them to have fires in while they camped. Not sure. Wasn't part of an old structure or something, right? Look at all the kids having fun. Hey, y'all, can I come play? Aw. It's so strange. So here, even if you look at this picture, this is 1995. The 2002, look at the difference. This little greenhouse over here, burned. This little business right here, graffiti. This house back here, burned. It's the shell. Like, who's burning all these buildings? This, gone. This, nice, clean concrete, I guess, kind of. Now just covered in rubble and trash. A planter here with trees in it, gone. 7 years, that's it. That's crazy. That's a lot of change. Why don't you go? You want a sandwich? Go ahead, pick one out. I don't know. What are you getting, Lenny? Just a bagel, same as I always do.
Fucking guy comes in, he just comes in and gets a bag every day. What am I supposed to do, you know? That's an impressive load, ese. Pero have you seen mine lately? This is my neighborhood. Get your own neighborhood. Light market, beautiful houses. This is the way it looks in Detroit in the 2000s. What a depressing place to be. Looks like John Sally, kind of. Damn. Why can't this church be in here since someone's clearly using it? Look at this thing. What an amazing structure. This is in Gary, Indiana. Wow. This is in Camden. Look at this. The streets you can just tell this place is so classy. And just no one has the infrastructure. The caption on this one is amazing. It says, the large classical building is now the St. James Apostolic Temple. It glows like a survivor from an ancient civilization. That it does, random caption. That it does. That sign needs to be a lot bigger, I think. Look at its hiding. This old amazing candlestick building. You can put this fucking giant sign. How disgusting. You in the back seat. Get up here. Okay, this is what I was talking about. Well, it looks like someone wandered around and just took photographs of random people. I feel almost like most people have no idea they're even on here. I got my copy. I was like, dudes, don't be strangers. Dude, the water's fine. Dude, I swear you can get in. I swear. You want to get to heaven? It's through me. Right through me. Right through this door. Right through my body. For real. Snow White and the Chocolate Dwarfs. Yes, that's a great place for preschool. Barbed wire fences around a preschool. It's amazing. This is Miss Maria Gomez in 2003 and in 1996. Oh. This is in Brooklyn in 96. Boy, is that city ugly. Newark, 1987. Chicago, 95. So these are memories of a recent past, left in a building waiting to be dynamited in Newark, 1954. How sad is that? Beepers. Forgot about beepers. There's those commercials. I'm JJ. I'm the owner. I'm the king of beepers. JJ was king for like 5 minutes. Gary, Indiana, 1997. Nothing like a abandoned building right by your basketball court. The fuck happened here? Good God. It's not like these aren't nice houses or weren't. They are. This is Detroit, 2011. This is an abandoned dentist office in Detroit. Picture is 2010. This is a woman feeding wild dogs in the Bronx in 1988. And this is after the dogs ate the woman. I'm just kidding. Made that part up. That's funny. That is hilarious. This is by the LA River. Someone painted it to be like an Olmec head. That's ingenious, actually. Now, these are I don't know if you want to do this or not. Like I said, these pictures are kind of depressing. This neat little streamlined building was demolished and replaced by a gas station in Detroit. This is 1998. This one's been abandoned since the 80s. It's an old Carol Hamburgers in Gary with that, what's it called, a ghoulie style architecture. This is in Baltimore. This is in the 90s, Detroit has the largest concentration of vacant skyscrapers in the world. You know about that. And here, look at this. This is about one street over. This is 91. This is 2003. And just look at the amount of ruined mansions. It's just unbelievable. This is a vacant 38-story building called the Book Tower. It's an absolutely incredible building. We're told it's a symbol of the power and wealth of an era. Designed in 1926. And it's just uncommonly cool. Paired houses here. The man that lives here is trying to fix up this one. And the man that lives here is trying to avoid this one. Which, of course, after that, we got this. Split houses right here. How weird would it be to just have this great of a discrepancy with your neighbor house? And then as what looks like what so often happens is, see here, this one burnt. Tear it down. Boom. Leave the other half. This one here. Boom. Other half gone. This one here. Department of Public Works, but he's still living there. And now nobody lives in either. And then boosh. Gone. R.I.P. Eddie. See here. It's the same street corner. Whatever the building here. Here. Camden. Boosh. Gone. Very strange. The giant cow head was supposed to be on a dairy farm. Candy Grills is in 2013. Within a few months of this picture, this fast food restaurant was actually abandoned. Look at how beautiful that building is. Or could have been. Or was. This was a vintage gas station that was turned into a Sweet Kingdom Annex, which was a church. Now it's abandoned, at least in 2013 it was. This is a view along Broadway in 1996 in Brooklyn. This was the former Camden Free Public Library in 1992. This incredible building. And the inside is been converted into a natural habitat. It's been infiltrated by trees that will soon bring about the downfall from within. So 92, this amazing old government-owned building. 2013, just slowly being destroyed. It's Camden 1988. And in 1997, not too much change other than some of these houses down here lost their character. And there's a few more empty lots. So yeah, what have we learned about ruins? Well, I don't think we learned anything. But we've seen a lot of them in various stages
of ruin. It's amazing how fast it can happen. How fast something can be turned into a completely nondescript building. But so it goes, I suppose. This amazing old world banger here, gone. This little quaint residential down here, gone. By 2016, you just got a big old parking lot. Just look at these wastelands. How gross. This is Jersey. This is Liberty State Park. Liberty drugs being bulldozed. 1970 here, yeah, Brooklyn. Like, when was New York not just covered in rubble and trash? Seems like it's just been like that forever. That's weird. Anyway, I'm probably rambled enough. You like what you see, kid? Go have a swim. It'll make you tougher.
We'll meet again. I don't know where. I don't know when. Ooh, random viewer.